Hello. I'm about to share about order and organization, which is one of the breakthroughs that I've really experienced recently. And I just thought it was so in our faces and still something we're not leveraging as high achievers in truly achieving our goals, but without creating even more resistance than is required. So when you think of order, you probably think of your space, your environment. Is your environment in order? And one way you probably think about that is decluttering, making sure that things are clean, it's not cluttered with all kinds of things, and that everything is in its place. Beautiful. Indeed, one of the aspects of order is things being in their place, but not just their place in a manner that creates harmony. Right. Great. So one very important thing in order to support yourself in showing up at your best is to ensure that your environment, be it your office, be it your bedroom, be it your kitchen or other parts of the home spaces in which you live and spend a lot of time, are in order. This may seem simple to say, but as many of you know, it may not be as simple as that. And this is why it's important to get support, if this is required, of a decluttering specialist. I happen to love Marie Kondo. I love the approach because her approach is focused on what sparks joy as opposed to not only what's useful. Because think of harmony. And when you think of only keeping in your space things that spark joy for you, that is beautiful. Because if everything in your space or most things in your space are sparking joy, then that makes you a magnet for abundance, a magnet for receiving in a much easier way than if you were frustrated, stressed, irritated, and overwhelmed. Clutter creates overwhelm. There's studies on this. So that's number one. Number two, another aspect of order is time. So I'm going to share different examples here. In terms of time, you may want to look out for things happening when they should be happening. So for example, are you rising with nature and resting with nature? In nature, from midnight to midday, energies are rising. From midday to midnight, they are falling. Now, when is it that we sleep? When are you going to bed? Are you going to bed after midnight, which means that you're now falling asleep as the energies of the earth are rising? Or are you able to catch an hour, even still better, 2 hours or more before midnight? Whatever the case may be, we all have different lives. If you've been going to bed after midnight consistently, and you can make it 30 minutes before or an hour, a little more, try it. What happens when you're able to wake up early in the morning, having rested well, leveraging the rhythms of nature, is incredible. The level of clarity, openness, and stillness allowing you to receive with ease in the morning is nothing to do with what it is in the afternoon. So your most insightful work, the work that really requires deep thinking, gets to be done in the morning. And you can only really do that when you leverage the rhythms of the earth. Another thing that's very important to understand is nature abhors a vacuum. And so in terms of time, you want to be focusing on one thing at a time. So use your calendar. There's something called calendar integrity. So you want to make sure that you choose a task no more tabs, like there's one tab open, one thing open, and you're saying, I'm going to focus on this for 30 minutes, whatever it is. When you are done with that, it's the perfect time for you to then choose to do something else. Nobody's ever heard of winter still being around and then we're still in full spring. No, winter must be over for spring to be fully here. Spring must be over for summer to be fully here. Summer must be over for autumn to be fully here. And when autumn is done, then winter takes its place. So even in nature, we're not having springs and summers. We're not having winters and autumns. Yes, there's a natural transition, but there is focus. There is one stage at a time. And so in our lives, how can we leverage the infinite, amazing intelligence that's reflected in nature? So we've talked about space. We've talked about time, ordering your time in a certain way that supports your life. And the third aspect is your thoughts. I used to be a very proud multitasker. I've just spoken to that, I think it was a really cool thing to do. The fact is, my dad happens to be a neurologist, and he told me, no, you can't really multitask. One, and two, it's bad for your brain. Because what you're doing is flipping between two tasks very quickly. You're not really doing two things simultaneously. And so if you're going to think about something, if you're going to give something your attention and your presence, if you're going to be working on a project, then whenever you are choosing to do that, focus on that thing. These things I'm saying may seem extremely simple. And the fact is, they're no longer simple for us because as human beings, we have not been respecting and leveraging the order that we see in nature. So it's really going to take you breaking old habits that are no longer serving you. The bigger your vision, the bigger your goal, the bigger the purpose that you have, the more you want to leverage the order that is visible in creation. Why? Because every time you act in a manner that's not in accordance with that order, then you're going against the grain. You're making things more difficult for yourself. So it's not about trying to reinvent what's working perfectly. It's about being still and observing. How can I use the laws? How can I swing in the laws? How can I leverage the rails that are already there? Because there are some things that you cannot do better than nature. And by leveraging what already exists, what already is working perfectly well, you free up so much energy, you free up so much potential to focus on other things. But if, for example, you choose to swim against the current, you may go forwards, and that's not a guarantee because there's currents and rivers and ocean can be extremely powerful, but it's going to take so much energy and you're going to get tired and exhausted pretty quickly. If, however, you choose to swim in the direction of the current, you go, basically, I'm not even sure you have to swim, depending on how powerful the current is. So order and organization are so important. And this is another reason why I always say to my clients, leaders are early. Punctuality is a form of order because once we've missed a phase, then we're playing catch up. And one way to do this is to truly have intimacy with our agenda, to be clear about the plan for the day, to really say, okay, these are the 3 things I'm going to be doing today, and to give yourself the space and the time and the thought in order to make sure those things happen. Yes, things may come out as surprises, but if you've created your day allowing space, then you have capacity. So in terms of achieving goals that are important, that are big, your wow goals, one of the things you definitely want to leverage is order. order and organization. When you have this, instead of your life feeling overwhelming, stressful, frustrating, too small, and just basically you wondering how you're going to survive on the next few years like this, it now begins to feel like a life by design. It now begins to feel like a life that's supporting you. It now begins to feel like a life that's made like a glove for you, because you have ordered it based on certain principles, one, and two, with the intention of where it is that you want to go. Those two factors are important, because the kind of life that you need to, I don't know, create $1 million business, to have a household that's really run with such precision and harmony and joy and beauty, to create the schools that are going to support so many children all over the world and really put a dent in illiteracy, for example, is not the kind of life that you need if you don't have any ambition financially, if you don't really care how your home is run, and that's like, it's just none of your business, and you have no interest in really purposely supporting and serving the world and making a difference. Not the same type of life at all. So what is it that you truly want to do? How do you want to show up? What difference do you want to make? One, and how can your life be ordered and organized in a manner that ensures that that becomes easier and simpler as opposed to even more difficult? These are the kind of things that you want to definitely invest time, energy, and even perhaps money in, so that that goal does not remain a goal. It doesn't remain a dream. It is something that will actually happen because you've created solid foundations for it. You've planted the seeds. And so you must see it. Love and light, I'd love to hear what struck most. Was it order in terms of space that you get to do? Was it order in terms of your time? Was it order in terms of your thoughts? What resonated most for you? Was it all three? Love and light.